Throughout our country's existence, there are countless stories of brilliant Americans achieving excellence in their fields, changing the course of history, and impacting our lives through innovative research and development. Those talented minds have come from across the spectrum of our society and have helped drive innovation in transportation, power, infrastructure, healthcare, and aviation. And as we celebrate Black History Month, it's a great time to take note of a few Black Americans that have reached the pinnacle of their fields and impacted each of our lives for the better. From an early age, Elijah developed a knack for all things mechanical, developing a habit of taking things apart and putting them back together. The McCoys scrimped and saved to send their son to Scotland to study in Edinburgh. As young Elijah finished his studies, he was noted as a master mechanic and engineer. As the American Civil War was ending, Elijah moved to the United States, settling in Michigan, beginning his career as an engineer. Unfortunately, few employers were ready to accept a black engineer at the time, and Elijah was forced to take a job as an oilman for the railroad. In this job, he quickly saw the challenges with the operations of the steam-powered locomotives of the era, especially in keeping the many moving parts properly lubricated. At the time, trains had to stop frequently for parts to be properly lubricated. This process involved a train stopping every few miles and an oilman like Elijah walking alongside to apply oil to the axles and bearings. As a true innovator, Elijah applied his knowledge to developing the first lubricating cup to automatically drip oil onto parts where and when needed. Imagine that, without sensors, microchips, or the Internet of Things. Elijah received a patent for his lubricating cup, one of nearly 60 he received in his lifetime. The popularity and success of the cup led to a myriad of imitators and knockoffs, causing buyers to begin demanding the real McCoy. Versions of the cup would soon be used in steam engines, naval vessels, oil drilling rigs, mining equipment, in factories, and on construction sites as McCoy continued to tweak and adjust the invention. With the success of the lubricating cup, McCoy was able to launch the Elijah McCoy Manufacturing Company, subsequently inventing and patenting the graphite lubricator, the portable ironing board, and the lawn sprinkler. Overcoming racism, building a company rooted in new technology. As one of the more prominent inventors of the 19th and early 20th century, Elijah McCoy is an unsung hero of American innovation. He was truly the real McCoy. If the first name in American innovation is Thomas Edison, where do we rank Granville Woods? Dubbed the Black Thomas Edison, Woods was one of the more respected inventors of the 19th century. Does he move up the list due to the fact that he was challenged by Edison and won? Born to free parents in Columbus, Ohio in 1856, Granville built his engineering skills through a combination of formal schooling and hands-on experience. He attended local schools until the age of 10 when he started working in a machine shop that serviced railroad equipment and machinery. His curiosity with electricity bordered on obsession as he studied other workers as they went about their tasks. At times, he even paid his colleagues to spend time explaining various concepts about electricity. Eager to learn, Woods soon began traveling the country to work in steel mills and on the railroad, soaking up as much information as he could, eventually returning to a formal education on the East Coast. Following school, Woods found employment first as an engineer on the British steamer Ironsides, then driving a locomotive for D&S Railroad. Frustrated by the racism that limited his opportunities for advancement, Granville and his brother Lyotts founded the Woods Railway Telegraph Company in 1884, manufacturing and selling telephone, telegraph, and electrical equipment. The following year, Woods invented a device he called a telegraphony, a new communications product that allowed a telegraph station to send voice and telegraph messages over the same line. Interest in the new product was so great that he eventually sold it to Alexander Graham Bell's American Bell Telephone Company. It was in 1887 that he brought his greatest innovation to the world, a product he called the Synchronous Multiplex Railway Telegraph. This device was remarkable in that it allowed for messages to be sent between moving trains and railway stations. This new technology allowed train officials to know locations of multiple trains at the same time, greatly reducing collisions. While this invention was well regarded and much needed, it didn't come without controversy, as others attempted to claim credit for the Wood invention. Even the great Thomas Edison attempted to claim credit and the patent for the device. However, after multiple attempts in court to wrestle away the claim to the invention, the mighty Edison blinked. Adopting the if you can't beat 'em, join 'em approach, Edison offered Woods a role in the Edison Company. Beyond these innovations and notoriety, Granville Woods also invented many other electric devices, including the troller, that allowed power to be conducted to trolleys via overhead wires, and the noted third rail for powering trains. With more than 50 patents in his career, An invention sold to giants of American industry such as Westinghouse and GE, Granville Woods, the Black Thomas Edison, left a tremendous mark on American industrial innovation. A giant in both industrial innovation and social justice, Garrett Morgan was a man that exemplified the truly American characteristics of innovation. Armed with only an elementary school education, but an aggressive zest for problem solving, Morgan was always looking for a better way. As a teenager in Cincinnati, Morgan found work in a sewing machine factory, learning how the machines worked and how to fix them. After a short time, he filed for his first patent for an improved sewing machine that allowed him to set out on his own. His first business was in repairing sewing machines, but he later expanded to include a tailor shop and clothing shop. It was in this business that Morgan made his first huge discovery. In 1909, after observing that the friction caused by the needle could scorch certain fabric, he went about devising a liquid that would polish the needle and reduce that friction. When his wife called him for dinner, he wiped the liquid off his hands onto a piece of pony fur cloth. When he returned, the coarse strands of that fabric were standing straight up. Intrigued by the straightening ability of the liquid, he tried it on the curly fur of his neighbor's dog. And the dog's fur ended up so straight his owner didn't recognize him. Morgan tried the liquid on his own hair and was thrilled to discover it had straightened his extremely curly hair. He took the product to market as the G.A. Morgan Hair Refining Cream and founded the G.A. Morgan Refining Company, selling the cream as a hair straightener to African Americans. As a result of this success, Morgan could dedicate himself to a number of other inventions and products. In a huge departure from his prior innovation, Morgan's next breakthrough was a device called the safety hood. The product was developed as a way to protect the wearer from smoke, fumes, or toxic chemicals in the air when they breathed. Morgan's product and his metal would soon be put to the test. In 1916, the Cleveland Water Works had undertaken a project to dig a tunnel under Lake Erie. During the project, workers struck a pocket of natural gas, causing a massive explosion and trapping many workers underground amid toxic gases. Morgan and his brother Frank sprang into action, donning safety hoods to rescue several workers from certain death. News of the feat and the device spread quickly and sales skyrocketed. However, when customers learned the inventor was actually black, those sales were quickly canceled. Despite the blatant racism, the adapted safety hood, now known as the gas mask, was issued to U.S. soldiers in World War I. Following on the success of the gas mask, Morgan focused his attention on traffic safety, developing a signal that would warn a driver of a coming stop signal. The newly patented signal would later become the well-known red-yellow-green traffic signal, the rights to which he sold to GE for $40,000. His success as an inventor and businessman had him traveling in circles with the great industrialists of the day, including J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller. But just as he felt called to find better ways to do things, he was also called to right social injustice, and was an early supporter of the NAACP. He gave generously to historically black colleges, opened an all-black country club, and launched the African-American newspaper, The Cleveland Call. Morgan passed away on August 27, 1963, 1 month before the anniversary reading of the Emancipation Proclamation, an event he was eager to attend. Born in 1904 in Washington, D.C., Charles Drew excelled in nearly everything he did. Though his athletic talents led him to Amherst College, where he attended on a full athletic scholarship, his dream was to become a doctor, not star in the NFL. Upon graduation in 1926, Drew faced both financial and racial barriers to his dream. Not only could he not afford medical school, but at the time no American medical schools would admit black students. Working for 2 years as a teacher, coach, and athletic director at Morgan State University, he saved enough to study medicine at McGill University in Canada. At McGill, a young Drew quickly gained recognition as an intellect, winning a prize in neuroanatomy and becoming a member of the Alpha Omega Alpha, a medical honor society. But it was when he saved a man by giving him a blood transfusion that he became interested in blood transfusions. He graduated from McGill with a Master of Surgery and Doctor of Medicine degrees, second in his class. Following an internship in Montreal, he began working as an instructor of pathology in 1935 at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and as a surgeon in their hospital. In 1938, Drew was awarded a Rockefeller Foundation Research Fellowship to study at Columbia University and train at the Presbyterian Hospital in New York City. At Columbia, Drew's dissertation on banked blood held remarkable new approaches to blood handling, storage, and transfusions. Drew discovered that blood could be separated into whole blood and plasma. This was a tremendous breakthrough, as the plasma and whole blood could be stored separately and recombined later. More importantly, he discovered that while individuals may have different blood types, we all have the same plasma. A game-changing discovery, as plasma could be dried for storage and reconstituted, making it much more durable for storage and use. He was the first African American to be awarded a doctorate of medical science from Columbia in 1940. Drew was chosen to lead the Blood for Britain program as World War II raged. By some estimates, his leadership of the program led to the collection of more than 14,500 pints of blood. Following the success of the Blood for Britain program, Drew was named the head of the American Red Cross's blood bank efforts. However, he learned that the blood bound for American soldiers was required to be segregated, that only blacks could receive black blood and the whites white blood. Incensed, Drew held a press conference noting there was no scientific or medical rationale for such a policy, eventually resigning in protest of it. He returned to Howard University, eventually heading its Department of Surgery. He was awarded the Spingarn Medal from the NAACP in 1948, and in 1949 appointed surgical consultant for the United States Army's European Theater of Operations. On April 1, 1950, Drew and 3 other physicians attended a medical conference at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, where in a massive car accident, the vehicle he was driving overturned. His passengers survived, but Dr. Drew was gone at the age of 45. In 1961, a kindergarten teacher asking a 5-year-old black girl what she wanted to be when she grew up didn't expect the answer to be a scientist. But then again, that little girl named May was confident and prepared, and was ready to break through barriers and glass ceilings. Growing up in Chicago, Illinois, Mae Jemison was a bright-eyed young girl who liked to read and dance, but really loved science. She absorbed the world around her, but Chicago in the 1960s wasn't a place that exemplified opportunities for young African-American voices. Mae saw that as the National Guard marched past her home to quell civil rights protesters at the 1968 Democratic National Convention. Those heavy-handed tactics didn't dissuade her passion and confidence, but rather emboldened her. Promising herself that she'd never be scared or intimidated, Mae thrived in school, earning a National Achievement Scholarship to Stanford University in 1973. At Stanford, Mae studied chemical engineering and remained active in dance and drama clubs while leading the Black Student Union. She maintained a deep interest in her own roots, supplementing her engineering courses with classes in African and Afro-American studies. Upon her graduation, she was accepted to Cornell University Medical College, earning her MD in 1981. Mae returned to California, serving her internship at Los Angeles County University of Southern California Medical Center, where she'd later work as a general practitioner. While working in LA was fulfilling, Dr. Jemison knew she could be doing more, and became a volunteer for the Peace Corps. She served as a medical officer in Sierra Leone and Liberia, where she also taught and did medical research. While she saw the immediate impact of her work as a doctor and researcher, Dr. Jemison remembered the dreams of that little girl and began pursuing an even greater height: space. In 1987, Dr. Mae Jemison was one of 15 selected out of 2,000 applicants to join NASA's astronaut training program. With a background in engineering, medicine, and medical research, Dr. Jemison became the first African-American female to be named an astronaut in 1988. She was named a Science Mission Specialist, a job that would make her responsible for conducting crew-related scientific experiments on the space shuttle. On September 12, 1992, Mae Jemison became the first African-American woman in space, flying in the Endeavour. She'd excelled in every endeavor she'd undertaken, and now was traveling through space in another. Dr. Jemison left NASA in 1993, accepting a teaching position at Dartmouth and founding her own company dedicated to R&D, the Jemison Group. She's been a recipient of the Essence Science and Technology Award, the Ebony Black Achievement Award, and multiple honorary doctorates. Innovation, talent, and ingenuity know no color, as evidenced by the brilliance exhibited by Elijah McCoy, Granville Woods, Garrett Morgan, Charles Drew, and Mae Jemison. These giants of American science, technology, and engineering innovation helped drive new developments in how we move, power, build, cure, and fly. They overcame racism, poverty, lack of access to education, and other challenges to make our world a safer and better place.